Okay, hi everybody. Please let me know if you can see and hear me. And let me know, I think I found where the rocket video music was muted and I think I unmuted it during that. Let me know if that's actually what happened, if you just saw the rocket video. Yeah, streaming. Whew, it's fun. Especially on Mondays. You know, I get stuck with the Mondays. Oh, today on Daily Space, it's why is the kitchen sink making that smell? Yes. In my kitchen, it's the garbage disposal. Why is the garbage disposal making that smell? And then I either have to run a piece of citrus through it or I have some garbage disposal cleaners. But yeah, if it's stinky, take a lemon and just throw it in there. That works. Onion skins in the disposal. That'll make it kind of smelly. Blech. Okay, good to know, Broken Symmetry. Everything is nominal, which sounds like it's the kind of word that doesn't sound as good as it means. Nominal means everything is normal, as expected, wonderful. It's one of those great words that they use all the time in like rocket launches and stuff. And you want nominal, but it doesn't sound like the most positive word. Trillion H2O says, now there's a good show idea. What's that smell? Thank goodness we don't have smell-o-vision because occasionally my dog is sitting down here and yeah, you don't want to smell that. Star Strider says, our question has been, is that mud, poop, or dead mouse? This is true. Mud, poop, dead mouse, or potentially chocolate, and you don't want to taste to find out. Not at all. Okay. Now that I've gone that gross direction, how about let's do some science today? So let me pull up my slides and remember to change them when I'm talking science stories. All right, once again, apologies. I have to look down to look at my script. So I am going to read you some science today. So one really cool thing, today's news is of the awesome and straightforward and why didn't we think of that before variety. And it's all so awesome that it's hard to figure out where to start. So for lack of a better reason, let's start with the prettiest story so far. One of the most beautiful and confusing globular clusters associated with our galaxy is 47 Tucana, or Tuc, a southern hemisphere system that can be seen right off the edge of the much larger Small Magellanic Cloud. This system of millions of stars is both one of the largest and the oddest globular clusters we have locally. Unlike other systems, 47 Tuc appears to have undergone multiple periods of star formation, have gas in the cluster, and it might just have a black hole in the center. The Weirdo system is home to numerous pulsars, and it is this population of spinning neutron stars that makes 47 Tuc the perfect laboratory to test for galactic magnetic fields. So 47 Tuc is located 13,000 light-years away in the galactic halo. It has been unclear how much of an effect that our Milky Way's magnetic field might have at this distance. We simply haven't had a way to measure it. Well, thanks to new Parkes telescope observations of this system's 25 pulsars, we see the presence of a strong magnetic field that is running perpendicular to the galactic disk. This can be seen in how their signals are spread out across different frequencies by the magnetic fields as a function of where they are in the cluster. Pulsars on the far side of the cluster have their signals dispersed more than pulsars on the near side. This strong field was surprising, and it appears that the magnetic field is amplified by the interactions of the galactic wind and the cluster material. This was observationally a challenging result to get at, but the physics is straightforward. Look at how magnetic field interacts with a blob of stars and gas. Replicated, however, this result might be a bit tricky. This kind of dispersion is possible in systems like 47 Tuc that have gas, but there really aren't systems that are like 47 Tuc. So still, even if we can't replicate this result using other globular clusters, this result does confirm that our galaxy has one heck of an extensive magnetic field. This work appears in the journal Nature and was led by Federico Abate. So from one set of dead stars to another, we now turn from prolific pulsars to overweight white dwarf stars. In new research coming out of Warwick University, a surprisingly large white dwarf has been found in data from the Gaia mission. This system, cataloged as WDJ 0551 plus 4135, appears to be the result of a stellar merger that just squeaked in under the supernova triggering weight limit. And not only was this star made in a stellar merger, but it appears to be the merger of two small white dwarf stars. Folks, the more we look at the universe, the more weird stuff we're going to find. This bloated star was observed in detail by the William Herschel telescope and was found to have a surface composition of both hydrogen and carbon. While these elements are common in white dwarfs, they aren't generally found together. Carbon white dwarfs are formed in the deaths of larger stars that start out a few solar masses in size, and hydrogen comes from smaller stars. To see both means that both kinds of stars were born and died and merged, and somehow didn't explode. This star appears to be 1.14 solar masses, or twice the average of a white dwarf, and these systems max out and go boom at 1.4 solar masses. So this is turning into the academic year when we learn that stars just like to merge, and this is a pretty common thing in our universe. In our final story of the day, scientists that are trying to learn how our planet's atmosphere might appear to other worlds have finally sorted a clever experiment. When we measure the compositions of alien atmospheres, we do it by looking for their stars' light to pass through their atmospheres, and then we measure their atmosphere as the difference between the starlight and the starlight plus atmosphere. Compositions are measured with spectrographs that allow us to see the complex dips and wiggles in the random spectrum of light from a system. This isn't pretty science, this is science by graph. In January 2019, astronomers pointed the Large Binocular Telescope at the moon during a lunar eclipse and looked at the blood-red moon that was illuminated strictly by sunlight that had bent through the Earth's atmosphere. As the eclipse progressed, astronomers were able to make out more and more elements and molecules in our atmosphere in the reflected sunlight. It is clear that distant observers would be able to see that we have an atmosphere rich in molecular oxygen and water vapor, as well as elements like sodium, calcium, and potassium. And I have to admit, I didn't know all those elements were in our atmosphere because they aren't anywhere near the top of the atmosphere's ingredient list. This is an experiment that we can do under different conditions to build a good understanding of just how eclipses can reveal our world's hidden characteristics. Our world, after all, is just one of thousands in the galaxy, and if we can figure out how we look, it will help us understand how we see others. And that rounds out our show for today. Let me give our spiel. Thank you for listening. Today's script was written by Dr. Pamela Gay. The Daily Space is produced by me, Susie Murph, and is a production of the Planetary Science Institute, a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to exploring the solar system and beyond. We are here thanks to the generous contributions of people like you. So if you want to help support us, just go visit us at patreon.com/CosmoQuestX. And now, we will take your questions. Dr. Pamela is in the chat as @StarStrider. And what I will do is I will switch over to chat. There you go. And if you can possibly take that purple star with the circle around it and put that at the beginning of your question, that makes it easier for us to spot. And I will read a bunch of your questions, and StarStrider will give us answers on it, which is really cool because I am science adjacent. So I'm good at reading the scripts and doing all the production. But she's our astronomer who knows how to answer most of these questions. So, all right, I'm going to take a look back in the chat and see if we had any questions before. We don't need the poop, mud, or dead mouse question again. Yeah, nominal is an understated good, Haney's Verwerp says. Yes, this is true. Astro Ice says 47 Tuc is also the most beautiful glob to observe visually or with a small telescope. Kerbalo1 asked what season is 47 Tuc visible? And of course you need to be in the southern hemisphere for that. Haney's Forward says, I find all this merging surprising. Space is not as lonely as you would think. Bring a friend. Yes. Don't go alone. Here, take this. Give you another star. Hello, Bill Nash, and welcome to watching our show. And definitely, if you like educational streamers, definitely go check out Bill Nash on Twitch. Let's see. Haney's Forward says, I think I heard there's more argon in the air than carbon dioxide. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And DPI 209 says, you are correct, Haney. And Larry Weird says, I think the argon is from potassium-40 decay. So, good to know. Yes, there's lots of interesting things in our atmosphere that you can see that we don't think of as major ingredients in our atmosphere. Haney's Forward asks, how much white dwarf matter could you safely squish together? So that is a question for Starstrider. And the Raven Lillian asks, so the bit about seeing stuff in our atmosphere with an eclipse was the latest eclipse? I believe it's been the last few eclipses they've been able to study certain things. I do know that the eclipse in 2017, the big one we went to, there was so much science done during that one because it was so widespread across North America and so many people got to watch it, and it was such an easily observed eclipse that that was big. And I said solar, and I meant lunar. Whoops. Yeah, this was a lunar eclipse. Sorry. There was a lot of science done during the solar eclipse, though. But yes, Dr. Pamela's pointing out lunar eclipse. Oops, it's Monday. I'm sorry. Also, the eclipse bit was that using spectroscopy, says the Raven Lillian. Yeah, there's about one lunar eclipse every 6 months, according to Starstrider. So they look at the lunar eclipses. Haney's Forward says, could there be a magnetic field for the local group? That's a good question. Probably so. There's a lot of gravity with a lot of bodies moving. Although it drops off kind of fast. That's a good question. DPI 209 says, if CO2 reaches 0.9%, then we have a really big problem. Yeah. RefsMat says the next big U.S. solar eclipse will be on October 14th, 2023. Yes, it will be. Thank goodness it's going to be in October, because that last big solar eclipse in August, oh my gosh, it was hot in Illinois when we were there. It was like 100 degrees. Do you think, according to It's the One, do you think that the large amount of satellites in Earth orbit can become a problem in the near future? This is a very good question, and we will see if Dr. Pamela, Starstrider in the chat, answers it. Because it is currently being debated. This is a problem. I am looking. Haney's Orb says the solar eclipse was amazing, and so was the traffic afterwards. Yes, the traffic was insane leaving Carbondale, Illinois, because it is a small town with like 2-lane roads coming out of it, and we were on buses, and it took forever to get back to St. Louis. So that was crazy. But it was great fun to be there with all of you who were there for the Astronomy Cast trip. We had a great time, and we will be looking at potentially doing that again. We'll see. I won't promise. The logistics were hard. So, but hopefully we can come up with something to do for the next giant solar eclipse. I heard small parts of Illinois were shady during the last solar eclipse. Yeah, small parts of Illinois were shady. Not where we were. Except for the spot where poor Dr. Pamela had a cloud right in front of the totality of the eclipse. Sorry, Pamela. That's terrible. Astro Ice says he went to Wyoming for the 2017 total solar eclipse, and it was a perfectly clear, amazing day. Yes. And Dr. Pamela says there was an asshole cloud. There was. Sorry. Okay, Star Strider says, sorry, squirrel, what was the question? Oh, the question was about the satellites being put into orbit and how much of a problem they're going to be. So, like the Starlink satellites and stuff. Feel free to give us your opinion on Starlink satellites. I know you have a different one than Fraser, so this is true. DPO29 says, so, should I plan a trip to the U.S. in April 2024? Maybe. We'll see. We'll be working on that. I don't want to have to plan that again, but I will. You people are wonderful. Logistics are hard. That's the trick. You guys are great. Just don't ask me to do that today. I'm just like, ugh, it's too Monday today. All right. So yes, now we're all talking about eclipses and whether or not we had clouds and the location and all that stuff. So Dr. Pamela wrote an essay about the Starlink satellites and the other satellites that are very similar. And she just put a link to that in the chat. So if you want to know her opinion in this, go to this article that she wrote at medium.com. Because, yeah, morally, putting up all these satellites for the internet, for internet access is morally a good thing. But scientifically, it's a big issue. So I personally, speaking for myself, I think they should slow down with the launches a little bit until we sort out some of the issues that we've got with astronomy and legal issues about putting that much stuff out into the atmosphere, because they're kind of just throwing these things out at 90 miles an hour. But that's my personal opinion. I think maybe we should slow down a little bit and study it a little more. But yeah, I'm not heavily capitalist in that sense. So I'm a little more conservative in that, because I really want them to stop and take time and see how, like, the darker coatings are working. Yeah. All right. Anybody have any other questions about stuff that we talked about, stuff that we talked about today? Because we had some really cool stuff about white dwarfs. And oh yeah, Dr. Pamela, how much white dwarf material can you stuff together before it goes? And I think you said usually they go boom at 1.4 solar masses, but this one was almost that big and didn't go boom, I think is what you said. So yeah, maybe tell us a little bit about white dwarf stars and solar masses. Or do you stuff enough stuff together and it becomes something other than a white dwarf? This is a good question. This one is 1.14 solar masses, so almost big enough to go boom, but not quite. Got it. Bill Nash says he has a long rant about the changes he sees Starlink bringing to the world, astronomy impacts notwithstanding. Yes, it is a complex issue with lots of ups and downs and lots of sides to the problem. And that's why I'm like, maybe we should slow down and talk about it more. But that's my opinion. So if a white dwarf star has too much mass, it can't support itself, then it crushes into neutrons. RefsMatt says, my next article would be about how you'd think rocket scientists and astronomers would get along. You'd think. Yeah, that'd be nice. We can hope. Astro Ice has the comment, what's more important, preserving the night sky or one billionaire doing what he wants? That's one of the complex issues. Then there's also the whole accessibility of the internet. That's important. But is this the best way to do it? Like I said, I think we need to slow down and talk about this and discuss it and figure out moving forward what's a good plan. And unfortunately, when you're dealing with a private company and not a government, sometimes you can't make them slow down and do it, because who's going to police space for this? Don't know. Yeah, there are other massive constellations planned, Keeper of Maps points out, and it's true. It's complex. We need rules. Yeah. So, Ref's Matt as asking Larry Weird, what's a quark star? So, Dr. Pamela, what's a quark star? Is that a thing? I don't think I've heard of a quark star. So, if it's such a thing, okay, not a real thing. There's a good reason I hadn't heard of that then. Haney's is saying to Larry Weird, I heard that someone used collider data to determine that baryons keep their identity for longer than we used to think. They're learning all kinds of cool stuff from the Large Hadron Collider. And particle physics is complicated. So those are always fun when we get those articles and we have to kind of parse them and figure out how to explain them. Not a physicist, so working on it. My daughter loves physics, though, so maybe I should get her to translate some of that for me. Keeper of Map says we should host a panel on massive constellations. Not the worst idea, and I imagine at some of these conferences coming up, they will probably have panels on this. If they have these conferences, because now they're currently concerned about coronavirus, COVID-19. So there is debate about whether or not conferences should be canceled and people stay home. Not to panic anybody, but definitely be washing your hands. Whatever you're doing, wash your hands, practice good sanitation, and try to very much avoid being sick. I'm just saying. So Bill Nash says, the single biggest net positive of Starlink that I anticipate is fomenting a diaspora of information and tech workers out of cities and a revitalization of rural communities that can now get inexpensive internet connectivity. A return to the Little Red Schoolhouse, or at least connected neighborhood schools, allowing for fully customized curriculum suited to each student's interest and learning style is totally possible. Yes, this is definitely something that could happen. It requires a lot of things going properly to do that, but yes, this is good. DPI 209 points out, wash your hands often and thoroughly. An appropriate length of time to wash your hands would be singing through Happy Birthday twice. I think that's also supposed to be how long you're supposed to brush your teeth, too. Bill Nash says that's a lot to bite off in one go, but I think you see where I'm going. Yes, we do. And you make very good points. The Ravian Lillian says, sadly, I live with children. Yes, hopefully you wash your hands all the time, too. Already. I live with a teenager who leaves stuff all over the place. And I have a kid at college, and this makes me scared because if something happens and she's not home, what do I do? Astro Ice says, I'd love to see communities in remote areas get internet if they want it. That's not the SpaceX motivation. That's the way they're spinning it. The motivation is money for Starship. Yes, money is a motivation. This is true. Larry Weird says, I sing baby sharks, mommy sharks, and daddy sharks, and then I quit washing my hands. That might be the right amount of time. Yeah, baby shark. Don't get started singing it because it will get stuck in your head. Trillion H2O says, due to coronavirus, host virtual conferences using the Starlink network to discuss if we should continue building Starlink. That seems a bit of a conflict of interest, but yes, we should probably do things over the internet more to reduce transmission of disease. Concerns about Starlink growing the gig economy. Well, the gig economy is kind of already here. Yeah, because that's why I have a second job. That's why I do all of these things, is because that's the best way for me to find stuff that's stuff I can get paid for doing, but also interesting enough to do, because otherwise I'd be stuck at a desk job, and that wouldn't be fun. I like you guys a lot, and I like space stuff, and I like science, and I like talking about stuff. But yes, It means I have to have more than one job because funding for space and science research and stuff, funding is hard. And that's why poor Dr. Pamela spends so much time trying to raise money or write grants or do all that. But that's something you guys can help with. Although most of you in the chat, I think, are already supporters. But get your friends, get your family to join us over at patreon.com/CosmoQuestX and help support us so we can do more science and bring it to you. So yes, if you like our content, join Patreon. We also have a Patreon for Astronomy Cast that is separate. And then, you can buy stuff. There are links to our Redbubble store below this video. There are other places in there where you can take a look. There are other ways you can donate if you don't want to join Patreon. You guys can always email us, text us, talk to us in Discord, whatever. If you want to donate and you don't like the ways we have to donate, we can make a way for you. That is not a problem. And Planetary Science Institute is a 501c3, so your donations are tax deductible where allowed by law, which means you'll get a nice little receipt from them that you can put in your taxes if you're filing in the U.S. or somewhere where that's allowed, because they are a nonprofit, which is nice. So yes, if you want to donate and you don't like the ways we have to donate, you let us know and we'll make a way for you to donate. We take PayPal. That's pretty straightforward and easy. RefSmat says, to me, thank you for doing these broadcasts. Once we all work at home, we need things like Twitch to bring us good astronomy. Without good astronomy, people will make up their own opposite astronomy facts. Yes, they will, and it's frustrating. And we work really hard to try to bring you real, honest, true science explained so that everybody can understand it. Because if you're not paying attention to science, you can't understand it. And if you don't understand it, you don't know how the world works. And that's just not a good way to be. It's very frustrating to hear people that don't understand how science works. And they don't understand how things on the planet work. And they get they make me very frustrated. I'm like, no. I sound like Annie at that point. I'm like, no, that's not how that works at all. That's not how any of this works. So yeah, I get a little frustrated at times. But we are here to bring you science. And we are here to try to explain it all. And thankfully, Dr. Pamela is great at writing scripts that I can read and bring science to you. And I have fun. And Starstrider says, when we're all trapped in our houses, our community is here for science and random games and community. All right. Thank you, RefSmat, for the 100 bits. I like your little unicorn snowman. I think that's a unicorn snowman. Yes, somewhere Annie just reflexively tried to drop Cheerios. She probably did. She probably did drop some Cheerios. So thank you all so much for the bits and the likes and the thanks and the support and being here with us. We do really appreciate it. We enjoy bringing you science. I have found that I enjoy doing this. I enjoy streaming. I can talk in my sleep, so talking is never a problem. And I enjoy talking to y'all. You're good people. We appreciate it. So yeah, at this point, I think I will go ahead and wrap things up today. And I will go and get started on the blog post and the podcast and uploading the video to YouTube and all the other things I do for the Daily Space every day. Don't forget, you can check us out over at dailyspace.org, and you will get over there. We put the transcript of the script over there, and we have a podcast version of this that I have actually already recorded. I just need to go and edit it and post it, and it's the quick and dirty version. So like if you've got a friend who is at work during the day and they want to listen to it on their way home in the afternoon, they can just hit the high points without the chit chat. So that's cool. So definitely spread the word, tell your friends, tell your family. If you have YouTube channels, YouTube membership, Gmail accounts, YouTube memberships, go over and subscribe to our channel. Feel free to leave our channel running for a few hours on your computer, if at all possible, because I think we have enough subscribers now for ad revenue, but we don't have enough hours watched, so we still need some hours before they will let us start making ad revenue. So our channel over there is youtube.com/c/CosmoQuest. There's also links to that in the chat, in the videos. You can find us over there. And thank you so much for watching. You guys have a great week. I may talk to you again this week. If not, I will see you later. Next week, starting next Monday, we are going to be not streaming Daily Space that week because I am going to be at a conference. And Dr. Pamela will be getting ready for the Lunar and Planetary Science Conference the next week, which will have so much science. So we're going to take a little break, basically take us a spring break while I'm gone, because it's hard to get everything done when a third of our team is out doing something else. And I'm going to be at the Gamma Trade Show for board games and stuff. If you happen to be around Reno, Nevada, and you're going to the Gamma Trade Show, feel free to let me know in Discord. I am Susie on Discord. And let me know, because I would love to meet up with you and say hi. Yeah, I'm going to be going and learning about retail board gaming and tabletop gaming and all that stuff, because my second job is now with Goodman Games. So that will be fun, and we will be out there with friend of this show, Moon Ranger Laura, who is our friend Laura Burns from Goddard Space Center, and she's a real life NASA scientist who's a good friend of ours. And that was my phone, and I don't know who that was. So I will let y'all go. We will talk to you later. Bye bye.